Hello, I'm Monica from horsetrailchicks.com, and today we are going to talk about some safety stirrups that will release your foot, and we're going to do a review. So we're going to look at 4 stirrups today. First, this one's called the Smart Rider. It's in about the $100 range. It's actually made for Western saddles, and the leather goes usually through here, but they've nicely also made it available for English saddles. I apologize to you Western riders. I'm an English rider, so I use an English stirrup. There are also some really great Western stirrups out there, safety stirrups. So the Smart Rider, the way it works is if your foot gets caught in here, it pulls apart and releases. And then it goes back together really easily, just like that. That's in the $100 range. This one is by A Cavallo, and this is in the $200 range. It has a really nice footbed. And the way this one releases is pulls out like that. This is my friend Paige and Colbrow, who have both volunteered to help test out these safety stirrups.
So my name's Paige. I tend to ride in kind of old school tack and hadn't really thought about the safety of my stirrups until a couple weeks ago. I went on a long trail ride with a friend of mine. We were standing quietly in a parking lot and my horse spooked and I lost my reins. When I came off, my foot actually got stuck in these stirrups and I got drugged across a gravel parking lot for a few feet, and I lost a considerable amount of skin on my back, and I lost some skin on my arm and my leg. And so I sort of put it in the forefront of my mind that I should get something that I can get out of so that that doesn't happen again, especially out on the roads or cross country going over solid obstacles. I don't want to hit any of those. So yeah.
Yeah, so here we go.
But that thing would hurt. That pin on the bottom could stab you in the foot pretty hard. It could get hung up on something. Like a lot of field boots have laces, and I could definitely see my laces getting stuck on that because that hits right at the top of your foot.
Yep.
And then oh, back. Those pop. Those pop.
So let's go through all the stirrups and you can tell me what you think about them. This one is the Smart Rider, and again, the way this one comes apart is like this. So tell me what you thought about this one.
Okay. For that one, I felt like the only hang up might be if it completely inverts, that it might stick on your foot a little bit, especially like with the grip on it. So if you get up here, I think the friction might hold you a little bit.
And I added that grip, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't come that way.
with it.
So maybe without the grip would be.
I think you'll tend to get out of it fairly easily. I don't see this being one to be likely to get hung up in. I don't think you necessarily need to require or you need to rely on the mechanism of it, because the mechanism only engages at certain angles. So an ideal angle would be your foot hitting the top of it. If your foot hits the side of it, it's not going to be the mechanism that gets you out. It's going to be getting your foot out. So having the non-slick material, or like the slick material that you can pop out of, I think is a really important component. So that doesn't cause any friction, that doesn't catch. So the side walls of your stirrups and the toe, like the top of your toe, need to be able to be soft where you can come out of it. So I think that was a huge component of it.
Okay, great. So that's the Smart Rider. Next we have the A Cavallo, and this is the one that has the release on the hinges at the top. and it's got the kind of cheese grater on the footbed. And tell me what you thought about this one.
So this one, this was a funny one. I think this was the hardest for me to get out of. When the spring is at the top and it opens at the bottom, when you're falling off, you tend to not fall off in front of your horse. So hitting the top, it doesn't really seem to like get the right angle to pop that off. So you get stuck here, you don't get stuck here. And when we practiced spinning it, I found that this piece would dig pretty aggressively into the side of my foot. So that was a difficult part to deal with. When the stirrup twisted, that would catch. And then this material on the foot plate, it definitely holds. So when we had inverted my foot with the foot, like when it spun around, this part would drag over my toe, and that could definitely cause some damage. I think we'd get some collateral damage with that.
Okay, so that's the a cavallo. And then we have the ride up, and this is the one that pops, let's see, this is facing forward, and when you fall back, it pops out like that and releases your foot. And we had some releases during the test. Tell me what you thought about that one.
So that one, the mechanism, it looks hard to do in hand, but it actually pops pretty freely when you hit it. So that wasn't hard to get out of. But the material was easy to get clear from, so I actually had a harder time keeping my foot lodged in these stirrups, so these ones were pretty easy to get out of from top, bottom, and side. I think that this works pretty well. It's easy to put on and off.
And then we have this one called the ride up. This is a very interesting design. It's a 90-degree stirrup, and it actually, as you ride, it moves. And if you fall off, what happens is the stirrup comes off completely, the whole thing. And then you put this, you very easily put that back in, and you're ready to ride again. And then and that's $300. And then we have here, by Tech, this is called the Venice, and it's about $400, and it releases like this. There's a magnet here that keeps that in, so it takes a little bit of force to pull that out, and it does have these little pins here to hold your foot just when you're riding, so it's not constantly doing that. And that's how that works. So we're going to test these out today. Tell me what you thought about that.
Yeah, these ones I have to say were easily my favorite. They're heavy, so they really stay where they're supposed to. This magnetic pop on the top was really smooth mechanism. It really wants to open and close back, so it's not going to stay open and get caught or anything. And it pops really easy, and it opens to such a big range of motion that I found it next to impossible to keep my foot stuck in it from any angle. This gives you a good tread to stand on, but it wasn't damaging coming out of it. So if I inverted it and caught my top of my foot on it, it wasn't catching me and hanging up on anything. It comes off pretty easily. And the pegs are small and rounded. I thought I'd get stuck in those, but I didn't see any problem with them. So
you could maybe get a lace stuck on those, but not as likely as the other.
Yeah, they're
smaller,
really polished and round. Yeah, these ones I really like them.
So that's your favorite.
Yeah.
So given that, Paige, that this one is $400, this one is $300, this one is $200, and this one is about in the $100 range, what would you say is the best value?
I would say you're probably best off with these. Just value-wise, because you're gonna get out of them.
Yep, they do what they're supposed to do,
They
being
do.
safety,
Yeah.
and they're not that expensive. The other aspect to these, Paige, is that when you fall off, if you are short like I am, or you have a tall horse, or both, you can actually, even if they come out entirely, you put them back together like this, And then you can use this to mount, because it gives you about an extra, I don't know, 4 to 6 inches of length. So you can remount, it's like a little step stool. And then, I have done this, not when I fell on off, but when I've gotten off for some reason, and I pop it down, and then you're up in the saddle, and you just pop that back in. It's super easy. Well, thank you, Paige.
Yeah, thank you.
And this was really fun, and we hope this was helpful for everybody. We'd love to hear people's comments and your own experiences with safety stirrups.